Hello, classmates, and whoever else was invited to these presentations. I really like the game Team Fortress 2, so for my passion project, I decided to go back to its very first updates in 2008 and recount every major update since then up to 2010. This is very cool, as TF2 was one of the first ever live service games, that means one that's constantly updated, so I would be able to see how they approached it, and it would be a way for me to learn more about my favorite game. First, though, here are some terms you'll need to understand. Stock is the default weapon for a character, and there are 9 classes. They're the Scout, the Soldier, the Pyro, the Demo Man, the Heavy Weapons Guy, the Engineer, the Medic, the Sniper, and the Spy. That's the basics, so let's begin. The very first update was the Gold Rush update in April of 2008, and it added very fundamental features of the modern game, that being the game mode payload, which is a game mode that other studios still put in their games to this day, the item system, fundamental to the modern game's replayability, with the first unlockable items being the Blutsauger, the Ubersaw, and the Kritzkrieg, all for Medic. And finally, they added the most important feature of this update: grass grows, birds fly, sun shines, and brother, I hurt people. In all seriousness, though, they added another Meet the Team video to their pre-existing roster, which included Demo Man, Heavy, and Soldier, and the addition to this update, Meet the Scout. The second update was the Pyro update, and it added Air Blast, which pushes players and projectiles back, a mechanic so integral to the Pyro's gameplay that there's a downside on a modern weapon, flat out removing it to make it balanced. The update also added the Extinguisher, which encourages combos to be done with it, and being better in almost every way compared to the stock Fire Axe. The Flare Gun, which stops the Pyro from being weak at longer ranges as a trade-off for less consistency from the shotgun, and the Back Burner, which rewards good positioning at the cost of damage in all other scenarios. The third update was the Heavy update, which added Badwater, a very fun map in my opinion, and one of the most popular maps in all the game. It also added 3 weapons, the first of which being the Killing Gloves of Boxing, which gives you guaranteed critical hits after a kill with them, thus continuing the trend of making stock melee useless. The second weapon being the Natasha, which is stock, but more boring because it changes stats that don't affect you, that being slowing your enemies. And finally, the most important item in this update, the Sandwich, which replaces the shotgun, and as a trade-off for that damage, you can heal yourself fully, meaning you aren't as reliant on a medic. And they made Meet the Sandwich because the Sandwich is just so cool. The fourth update was the Scout update, which added 3 new weapons again, all of which were Scout. The update added the Sandman, a bet that stuns other people, which is pretty cool, and the way it stuns is with a ball. So this is a W speed weapon. The next weapon added was the Bonk Atomic Punch, which is a soda that Scout can drink to become invincible for a short period of time, at the cost of not being able to use his weapons and being slowed when it ends based on how much damage he took. The final weapon was the Force of Nature, which gave knockback to the Scout and the person he was shooting, along with more damage and a smaller clip size. The fifth update was the Sniper update, and this update added a new feature every day for just over a week. On day 1, the Huntsman, which is a bow and arrow, was added for Sniper, allowing him to be more mobile and aggressive by completely changing his playstyle from someone who sits at the back constantly scoped in, to someone who pushes up more to get kills. On day 2, there was a filler day, adding the game mode Payload Race and one good map, Sawmill. On day 3, they announced the Razorback, which is an item with bad design, but that's been treaded over many times. If you're curious why, I recommend giving it a Google. But the long and short of it is that it blocks spies from backstabbing you if you put it at the cost of your secondary slot. On day 4, there was the Sniper versus Spy update. That's right, the Spy took over, and the update page shows him checking out his 2 new watches. The Cloak and Dagger, which lets you stay invisible when not moving, and forever as well, and the Dead Ringer, which lets you fake your death. On day 5, they released Meet the Spy, and it's now age restricted? Oh, come on! One of the worst things to happen there is Spy's head explodes, and he makes one "you're wrong" joke. Please watch Meet the Spy or a re-upload, it is awesome. Anyway, on day 6, they announced the Ambassador, which is a revolver for Spy that can headshot at the cost of less body damage, which is a very cool weapon. On day 7, Sniper comes back and throws Jarate on Spy, announcing the item Jarate, or Jar-based Karate. It's, in professional terms, a container of urine designed to be pitched at enemies, coating them and making them receive increased injury. Yay! On day 8, they announced the release of the update, and on day 9, a secret bonus day, they announced hats. A fundamental change to the game's design moving forward and the direction that would last for years to come. The next update was the Classless update, and they added the game mode King of the Hill, which added some new maps and some remasters of old arena maps like Sawmill I mentioned earlier. And the 7th update was the Halloween update, adding the ghastly gibbous, a staple hat in early internet pop culture, source, me, and they added Harvest, arguably the most popular King of the Hill map in the entire game. Only one update after the game mode was added. The 8th update was the War update, and this one was a bit different from the others. This update was a competition between the Red Demo and Blue Soldier, because in the lore they had become friends, and the company running it did not like that. So, they were offered weapons to kill the other, and the grand prize to whoever won this war were the gunboats, a pair of boots that would reduce explosive damage on yourself, allowing them to both move better. So the fight was on. The weapons up for grab for the soldier were the direct hit, which is a weapon that traded the strategy everyone recommends you use, aiming at the floor and letting the splash damage kill people, for a faster, higher damage dealing rocket, but that really only can direct hit with less splash damage and less splash radius, hence the name. The next weapon for Soldier was the Equalizer, which is a pickaxe that makes you run faster and deal more damage while you're low on health. But if you have it equipped, you're truly defenseless because it's a melee. The final weapon promised to the Soldier was the Buff Banner, a backpack replacing the shotgun that builds charge over time, and when it charges to full, it provides more damage to the teammates around you temporarily. The 3 weapons the Demo Man were promised were the Islander, the Charge and Targe, and the Scottish Resistance. The first of those 3 is the Islander, being a sword that reduces your max health, but every time you get a kill, the heads counter goes up, buffing your maximum health and speed. But what would a sword be without a shield? The second weapon for the Demo Man was the Charge and Targe, which is a weapon replacing the Sticky Bomb Launcher that lets you charge forward at speeds unknown to Demo Man beforehand, while getting crits mid-charge as a bonus for replacing the most powerful weapon in the game, and it gave you lots of resistances. Demo Man's final weapon was the Scottish Resistance, which was a version of the Sticky Bomb Launcher that allowed him to place stickies in separate clumps to be detonated remotely, and allowing you to place more of them, trading off an aggressive sticky bomb playstyle for one that's more oriented at trapping, like the devs intended. The next update was probably the biggest update TF2 has ever and will ever have, the Mancotomy update. This update added changes as big as the Steam wallet and as small as the name tag and description tag, so I'll list the biggest ones. This update, as the name suggests, added an in-game economy to TF2 by adding a shop in the game for weapons and cosmetics, and a trading system, which made people quickly give real-world value to digital weapons. In the store, they added 5 item sets consisting of 2 weapons each and a hat. They were a new addition that boosted stats if you had all the items in the set, which is a good idea on paper, but because hats are rarer than weapons, it means you would have to almost exclusively buy them to get the stat boost for the next 3 years until the said stat boost was removed. The notable weapons from each set were the Black Box, a rocket launcher that heals you but has less ammo, the Mad Milk, which works like the Girardi but heals anyone doing damage to someone coded in it, and the Your Eternal Reward, a knife that instantly disguises you as your victim on a backstab at the cost of your cloak. The final update to talk about is the Scream Fortress update. This is the first time it was called Scream Fortress, and this update also added a boss called the Horseless Headless Horseman on the map Mann Manor, which you could kill for the Horseless Headless Horseman's head taker. This was just a snippet of the large history of TF2. I hope you found it as interesting as I do, and please watch all the Meet the Team videos and expiration date. Okay, bye!